Hello and welcome to Restore 2023. Another opportunity for us to be reading together the scriptures and to be growing in our knowledge and understanding of who God is and to be living our lives marked by worship for Him. And today we're reading from the book of Ezra and we're in chapters 5 and 6. The first cohort of the people have returned from Babylon to Jerusalem under Zerubbabel and Joshua. And yesterday we read how the work of rebuilding the temple had come to a halt because of opposition. And today's chapter 5 begins with two faithful prophets, Haggai and Zechariah, breaking through this intimidation that the people of Judea are facing. And what do? They prophesy. They prophesied the Jews in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel. For the first time since the days of Jeremiah, the voice of God is heard in the land of Judea. God's favor is once more upon his people. And this is a moment of encouragement for the people of Judea so they can continue on with the task of rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem, and as a result having that rebuilding of their spiritual lives as well. With this unexpected but very welcome words from the Lord, Zerubbabel and Joshua set out to complete the work on the house of the Lord. What would have happened if Haggai and Zechariah or Zerubbabel and Joshua had been indifferent to God's leading? I've been reminded today of the responsibility of us as God's people, for me as a church leader, to be attentive to God's prompting for the renewal, to be attentive to God's leading and inviting people to a fresh start. And after Haggai's and Zechariah's prophecy, the writer is drawing our attention to the inspection of the high-ranking Trans-Euphrates officials. It's interesting how the writer is keeping track of the different correspondences of the different officials and the letters that they exchange regarding the rebuilding of the temple. In contrast to Rehum and Shimshai's letter to Artaxerxes in chapter 4, Tattenai's letter to Darius was fair and objective. I mean, it doesn't look like he's wanting to stop the Jews to not finish with the building project. He just wanted to know if Cyrus had really given permission for the Jews to rebuild the temple, and if Darius wanted that edict to stand still for this time and period. So it's inspection time. The record of this letter in the text shows that these officials had observed something different, how God's care of his chosen people was so obvious. So Darius' response is generous here. Not only he approved his predecessor's decree, but he also issued the one himself that gave even greater support to the Jews in their building project. Verse 14 summarizes a story that began in chapter 5:1. So not only did the elders of the Jews build, but they also prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo. These prophets whom God had raised up and who had encouraged Zerubbabel and Joshua enabled the Jews to overcome their intimidation, their fears, and to build with zeal. So the verse 14 continues, they built and it was finished. The project that started years ago now was completed, and it took them around 4 years actually. And once the rebuilding of the temple is finished, now its functionality is reinstated as the Levites and the priests are appointed to begin their service there. How appropriate to celebrate the festivals of the Passover, the unleavened bread, and the first fruit with a new temple featuring in the center of their community. It's no wonder that they celebrated with joy. God had delivered them from exile, they've returned, but now it's not only that, but also the Bible says that God made them joyful because He strengthened their hands in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel.